Hey there, I have had a lot of requests to show inside my curriculum and how I recommend using it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I have Algebra 1 up here on the screen, but this one's a little bit different than my other curriculum, so I'm actually going to flip backwards. And I'm going to start with 7th grade. So I have available just a curriculum. I have a mega bundle that accompanies the curriculum, and then I have a combo where you can get both. The Algebra 1 curriculum is a little bit different in that it does include some activities, whereas 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th do not. Those are all separate. So each of my curriculum includes just a one-page scope and sequence that gives you the recommended number of days and Common Core Antiques standards. These, of course, could change as standards change, and you need to double check to see how either Common Core or the general TEKS align with your own classroom. And as I have listed on every curriculum listing, it is impossible to create a one-size-fits-all curriculum. I am one human being who has written all of these completely by myself through a ton of research and trying to decide what fits best for the most people. Certain textbook companies and other companies can create a little more individualized curriculum based upon where you live because they have a ton of people working for them doing the writing. For me, I don't have that, and that's the way I choose to do things because my business is my name, and I feel proud to have my name on everything, and for you to know that this curriculum and all the lessons, they were written by me. But with that being said, the curriculum as is not going to work for everyone as is. But that's why I give the editable versions so you can make adjustments as necessary. Now, pardon the noise there, let me quit that. Now, please make sure before you purchase this curriculum or any that you look through the scope just to make sure that the majority of your standards and skills are covered. So aside from the scope, for each individual unit, I'll show you everything that's included and I'll talk you through it. So for grade 7, this is unit 1, this is a recommended planning calendar. I've had some questions with people who ask, like, well, how would you set up your days? Well, this calendar shows exactly how I would set up my days. So this would be the very first unit in 7th grade. And I recommend having day 1, and this doesn't necessarily mean your first day of school, because obviously you're doing different things. But when you start the unit, day 1 be a unit pre-assessment and a review activity. And it says teacher choice. At this time, I don't have, again, those every single little activities put in here, mostly because you all have different opinions and different things that you like to use in your classroom. So I recommend starting with a review activity and then the pre-assessment. Then day 2 and 3 cover absolute value. And I have L1 warm-up 1, which means lesson 1. I recommend doing the notes and practice for day 2, and then finish the practice, and then go on to compare and order rational numbers for day 3, which is day 2 of the first lesson. And then there's exit tickets for each day. And you'll see, like day 4, it says whole group practice, teacher provided problems. I have that on there because a lot of you do have textbooks and you do have tons of resources to use. So for that, you can just grab some problems out of there. And I don't do that often, like literally hardly ever do I say teacher provided problems. And then over here, once again, optional activity not included. If it says optional activity, maybe you don't have time for an activity anyway. Maybe you could have that be small groups. Maybe you need to catch up right there. It's up to you. So this curriculum unit covered 16 days based upon my suggestions. And again, you can adjust that as needed. On this page, there's notes. So if you do decide to follow my calendar, you can take a few notes for things that would need to change possibly for next time. This unit also includes digital assessments. I'm going to just skip over that for now because of the links that are there. But you have digital assessments. So you would have forms versions for every assessment in the unit. But the entire unit itself is not digital. However, I have a blog post about how you can make PDFs digital if you're interested in reading that. So you can see here each unit has a cover page to show just a few of the pages, and then right here gives you a glimpse at the forms version of one of the assessments. That's the exam. Next, there's a PDF version of the answer key. I'm not going to show that at all because students could be watching this, and I just don't want to do that. So I'll skip over that. But this is the full curriculum itself. So once again, this is the same scope and sequence. You'll see it on every single unit. Then there's a unit plan that is just very brief right here. It gives you the vocabulary that is needed for that unit, what the objectives are, and then once again the standards. Then there's another unit plan that is broken down like the calendar. So the calendar, up here, let me go back up here. The calendar takes you day by day, and then the unit itself just tells you what resources are available for that specific lesson. So on the calendar, this absolute value lesson takes 2 days. So I'm showing you what pages it's on and what is included right there. There's also a weekly warm-up sheet. You can pass this out every Monday, have students do their warm-up for the week, turn it in on Friday, or honestly, to save copies, have them take a blank sheet of paper, divide it into 5 rows, and then they can just turn that in on Friday too. That's what I did. There's also exit tickets if you choose to use those. There's a blank lesson plan. This does come in the editable version, which is PowerPoint, so you can edit if you'd like, or you can just print and handwrite. Here's a vocabulary sheet that you could pass out to your students. Most of these words are also on the notes, so this is just based upon preference, whether or not you'd actually like them to have vocabulary independent from the notes. And then there's a blank one too. So the blank one is in case you don't want to use all of my terms or you want to add extras. Here's an example of the pre-assessment. It's just very basic to get a quick understanding of their knowledge for that. And then so 8th grade is not quite set up like this just yet. It's being edited. So it will have this page coming up in the next couple of months. So every individual lesson also is broken down like this. It gives you the big idea for the lesson. Once again, the standards for that specific lesson. Prereq skills, current skills, upcoming skills, a few ideas of misconceptions, and then there are the resources once again. The warm-ups are copied 2 per page like this, so you can help save some copies. Then you'd have notes. All of my notes are set up in guided notes format, as you can see. Then there is practice, more practice, and then there are exit tickets also copied 2 per page. And then you get down to lesson number 2 and so on. And this individual unit is 69 pages long. So there's all the content, all the notes. And then I will show you here. So here there's rational number operations for signed numbers, fractions, and decimals. And then I also give it to you in a foldable format for those of you that like to use it that way. Foldables are not required. They go with the regular notes. So I don't want you guys to see foldables and think, well, I don't use them. You don't have to. They're just there for the people who do want to use them. They also come in regular guided notes format. Then you get all the way to the end, and at the end of every unit, it's just suggested unit, study guide, final exam. You also could, on your study guide day, do a review activity. But the study guide is just printable. It's not something students write in. It's very basic, very simple, easy to read. It comes in an editable version, which I'll show you, so you can change the wording. And then just the basic assessment. And the assessment length will depend on how much is covered in the unit. So here's the editable version. I'll download it real quick so you can see. You must have PowerPoint to edit. It is not a PowerPoint presentation, but I use PowerPoint to create. So you must have it to edit. So the editable version looks exactly like the printable, except everything here is locked in on this page and here. So what you can edit is the actual content. So I'm going to scroll down here. So this, I said, your lesson plan, you can type. All of this you could manipulate if you wanted to. The vocabulary pages here, this is all editable, so you can delete all that out. The content, this pre-assessment, all of that can come out. So you can change the questions, you can change the wording. Same thing with your warm-ups. I'll highlight and show you everything that is editable. So everything that was removed is editable. The lesson number, name, and the warm-up and copyright information can't be edited, but you can change the skill, you can change what's in the table. And it's like this throughout. So all of this is editable. The only things you will see that are not editable is clip art, and that is due to licensing for the people who made it. So you might think that's just a little number line, but that's actually clip art that someone created. Same thing here. So all of this comes off. But I will tell you, so let's say with this example, or any example, this example, maybe you didn't want the number line to be there. Or, I mean, the directions say plot, but again, you could delete it. So maybe you wanted to delete it, you don't want the number line there. Since this is in PowerPoint, all you have to do is grab a shape, cover up what you don't want, turn it white, turn the border white, and then it's gone. So that's one way to cover up something that might be in the background, especially when it gets to geometry or coordinate planes, and I included a lot of clip art. You can just use a white box to cover it up. And then with the editable version, you have to make sure that you save as a PDF before you print. Otherwise, the stuff that's secured to the background might not print. For some people it does, and other people it doesn't. I think it's kind of picky. So save as a PDF before you print. All right, I'm not going to save this. So, and then you also have tracking pages. This is just for you to keep track of pre and post assessment here. And then for each individual unit, or I'm sorry, each lesson, you have tracking. So this could essentially be your grade sheet, or at least just to check off. Every warm-up, even the notes are on here. There's notes, a note space on some of these for you to keep track after certain lessons. So there's tracking. If you choose to print and have things in binders, you have binder covers and spine labels. Some of them involve color, some of them don't. Some have pictures in the background, and then there's your spine labels depending on your binder size. For many of the units too, there are fold and flip samples, so you can see this one only had one fold and flip, so this is it, but you can see examples of what they should look like when they're put together. And then with 7th grade, there's a combining like terms, a mini lesson, but that's not always, there's not always many lessons. So you can see each unit is the same. Each unit contains the exact same amount of stuff, the planning calendars, the assessments, and all that stuff. So that's a look inside of the 7th grade curriculum. And again, 5th, 6th, and pre-algebra are set up the same way. Algebra 1 has activities added, and 8th grade still needs to be revised and refreshed and just updated. So 7th grade, this is just the curriculum. This is what the activities bundle looks like. Okay, so the activity bundles, these don't include every single resource for the grade level because they would just get excessive and the pricing would be out of control. But this is an idea of what is in this for 7th grade, and honestly this list has not even been updated for quite some time, so there's more than what you see here. And you can see over on the side, so assessments, you have benchmark exams, so if you had this in conjunction with the curriculum, you could pull from this as well. There's mini assessments, there's test prep, there's just a bunch here, and then there's holiday specific, full year, all that kind of stuff. And if you look, there are, like here for integers and rational numbers, supplementals, there's 28 resources here. So back here in the curriculum, where I had things like teacher activity, teacher choice review activity, or optional activity for adding rational numbers, if you had the bundle as well, then you could come over here and just pull one of these activities that you wanted to use. I mean, those are just notes, but there's also projects and there's puzzles. There's roll to solve game, spin, roll to solve games, things like that. So there are plenty of supplementals to pick from. So you can get these together as a bundle, the curriculum resources and the actual curriculum, or you can just get them independently. So the Algebra 1 curriculum, like I said, this one includes some activities, so that's what's different here. I need to update this list because it says released by, and they're all definitely definitely out and have been for quite some time. So this breaks down, again, just the units, everything that is included, and you can see here there are supplementals. So right here I included supplementals for this unit. I included 7 supplemental unit activities in this unit. So the way that looks, which one has the 7? Solving equations. So let me come down to the solving equations. Here's your pacing guide or just your calendar. It looks the same. I'm trying to keep them all consistent. And then once you get the unit, this one will actually have supplementals. Now some supplementals can't be included in the PDF, so if that's the case, they're available separately. So like this one includes stations that are available separately, a pairs check activity that's available separately here, and all the supplementals are here as well. So, but the algebra curriculum still does include the editable version. It has the tracking pages, it has that planning calendar as well. Algebra also includes supplementals in that it has the homework notebook, math chats, bullet notes, and the digital assessments that like the other grade levels have as well. So this is just a look inside of the curriculum. I think some people are a little overwhelmed with how do I use it, and I think I probably included a little bit more scaffolding, a little bit more planning than maybe you anticipated. So yeah, I am super proud of these. I wrote them basically nonstop over about a period of 4 years. So I'm always going back in and refreshing them. So like I mentioned, 8th grade, if you look at all my curriculum, it's definitely visually the most out of date. So it's getting a nice facelift this year. And if you purchase any of these curriculum, once they're updated, you get those updates and revisions for life, which is something I love. It's truly, truly an investment for your classroom for you, unlike a regular textbook or series where you have to purchase something new when it's changed. With me, you just go back in and get it. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. And as always, with anything and everything, you can reach out if you have questions.